Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Eddie Marcus again. Today, I want to talk to you on a matter that is very important. And I was trying to focus on a subject that would kind of reflect where I'm going to go. I came up with two. One was the beat down. This message has basically to do with the beat down when we think about society of the world, when we think about life. And the second choice was It Takes Two. And I was thinking, well, maybe I might be able to, in a short version, be able to associate this message in such a way that this subject matter each one can be uh, reflected. Now, ladies and gentlemen, here I am today. I want to tell you that I spent a lot of time talking to you about love. I spent a lot of time talking to you about the essentials necessary to bring peace and prosperity and freedom and joy and all of those wonderful things that we all say we want. I've been spending a lot of time, years in fact, trying to see if I could get an understanding out within the community. But I must say that the challenge has been a great challenge, and I have given basically all I've got. I guess I've been out here for 40 years, and if you ask me, I don't really see any major changes happening for the purpose for which I came. Initially, 40 years ago, I came to tell the people of America, all of them, including the church, what I would say for America is a reflection of the thing that would be said to the world. And that is, regardless of what we think, regardless of what we're doing, the truth of the matter is that we as a people are on the path to hell. That does not leave you out because of your color, your gender, anything. We are all on a path to hell. Now, since that time, I've been spending time talking about running for president, talking about how we can come together. Then, at the same time, identifying problems that have been identified since the beginning. They're still here. And my hope has been that maybe we could reflect ourselves in such a way that some changes, real changes, could be made. And yet, it is what it is. And so when I think about looking at this stuff that's happening in our world today, contrasting it with what we each individually really would require for ourselves, and when we step outside of ourselves, that's when things gonna get a little bit crazy. I understand, ladies and gentlemen, I have learned to be obedient, and obedience calls me to come back today and say to the people all over, the country, just like before, all genders, doesn't matter. We as a people are on a path to hell. Even though we just went through this thing to give you right before your face, the American people's face, but at the same time put it as a reflection to the world to see, because they're all experiencing the same kinds of things. And that is, from the time you're told in the beginning of 40 years ago that you're on this path, rather than make the kind of changes that would be essential to give you life, you resisted it every time. But it was because you, my friends, the bottom line is this, is because you don't know God. And since you don't know God, you're following the dictates of men and their prejudices. That's what we have always done. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, when you think about the oppression that you have to go through at the hands of the powers, wherever they might be, you think about Black Lives Matter. You see how when they protest, they think they got legitimate reasons for protesting, and so they protest. And sometimes riots break out because they're angry, because all of the protests put together have not produced what they've been seeking at. And so what happens? They get beat down like children who they just want to listen to anyone, incorrigible kids, and they're beat, like this is going to do something. People wouldn't beat their animals that way, but they beat human beings like this because they won't stay in line. Well, the same thing happens, my friends. These are riots. These are cop killings of other people. I mean, these things, it happens everywhere. When you just think about China, people over in China, in China provinces, pissed off because they're not satisfied with the way the system is responding to their needs, their aspirations. And when they stand up and protest, what happens? They'll get beat down, legs and things all broken up. I reflected Black Lives Matter out there when responding. The president want to walk out on the and get a photo op and ready to beat black people down for standing, and whites who were with him, beating them down. So I can go get a photo op about my relationship with God. Wouldn't that be kind of crazy? But these are the kinds of things that happen on the road to hell. And so, ladies and gentlemen, it didn't just stop there. You think about in Russia. Now, everybody says it's got to Russia, you know. But what's happening? The people are saying, to heck with that, man. This system doesn't work for us. And we're tired of it. And they protest. What happened? Beat down. That's the power that be. You see, what kind of God leaves these people? Beat down, beat down, beat down. And they have to go through this stuff just to continue to live. People are so desperate because they're so ignorant about the truth, they'll take anything. It's happening in North Korea. It's happening in the Philippines, certain countries in Africa. It's happening everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. And you should ask yourself, why are these things happening? Is it because these systems of the world are so wonderful? These systems of the world are so fantastic that we got to preserve them? No, my friend. These beatdowns are to protect the deception by powers that control and do it through a process of using you, the people. You see, they always make it seem that the problem, the answer, well, the problem is those. The problem is those. So all of a sudden, and then they try to set up rules and regulations, the laws that kind of push one against the other, make it seem real. And the folks, what? They just follow their team at odds with one another. And then you go to the church. I'm just talking to you generally, ladies and gentlemen, trying to tell you why you're on the path to hell. You go to church, and like a few months ago now, a month ago or so, you find out that those who have been teaching the people about God, about Jesus, are aligned with those over there who says that they are the superior people. That everybody else, even at the borders where the babies were snatched from their parents, was okay. For beating black people up and oppressing them is okay. And these things have happened, at least for we've been referring to now for over 400 years. Longer than that, but 400 years. And it's still going on and on and on and on. You don't think you're on the path to hell? Well, my message today was to come back and tell you again that you are on the path to hell. Now, people who are talking to you about scripture and talking to you about a book that's the product of somebody else, they have no idea. And when you now see how easily people lie, when you see how easily the senators, Republican senators in Washington, D.C., can stand before the American people, take an oath, and then step right away and say that their truth is not the same truth that the other people are speaking. But they gave you the impression that they were. You see how easy it is to lie? Now that's in your face. You don't think they would lie in a book? They're protected from lying in a book? Well, I ask you this. What's the result of all of your talking about the history of the Bible? What is the result of all of your talking about God? What is the result of all of your prayers? We're on the path to hell. That's what the result of it is. So I'm not saying God isn't real. I know for a fact that the power of love is real. There ain't no doubt. Otherwise, I wouldn't be standing before you. But I want to tell you what you have not been told. This thing is not about the games that we are playing. We are here on this earth, put here by a power that we can't see, but is capable of creating all things that exist and put us on here with one responsibility. And what is that responsibility? To treat each other like we want to be treated. And that's the greatest honor that we can give God. Because when we do that, then God lives in us, and the reflection of God's life in us will be exemplified everywhere, all around us, up and down. There would be peace. There would be prosperity. There'd be freedom. There'd be joy of life. And your dreams would be coming true. You would have your needs, your wants, and your desires met. And it would all be a joy because you are participating in it. You might not even know it, but you are a branch of God, doing godly things. But you haven't been taught that. And so God allows us to stay here. Because in order for this hellish thing to continue, it takes two. Can't happen alone. People can want to mess over you all they want to, but they can only mess over you when you engage yourself the wrong way. It takes two. If you refuse to go the way of evil, evil will go nowhere. If you refuse to go, if you refuse to stand up and represent God, then you will follow the flow. Because now you are banking on living. You are banking on the repetition of what happened today. You are banking on it. Today you woke up, perfect health. Thank God, you say. You got a chance to eat. Most of you did. Some of you didn't. You got a chance to live through the day. A lot of you did. Not most. Well, you got a chance to live through the day. Maybe you had some eggs. Maybe you had a steak. Maybe you even made love today. Then you went to bed. So what are you going to do tomorrow when you wake up? The same dead blasted thing. Nothing but repetition. And so you choose repetition than to stand up for what's right. Standing up for what's right might mean you might live one day because somebody might kill you, but then you have stood the test of time. You have proven not only to yourself, but to the world about you that your faith is in something more powerful than the president. Your faith is more in something more powerful than the Constitution. And you won't have to bow your head to nothing. Why? Because it is them who oppressed you. It is them, the evil one, that killed you. And why didn't you defend yourself? Because you knew they did not know any better. Now see, when you can move to that line, hey, you ain't got time for this crap. So I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, that this path that you're on is taking you straight to hell, like it or not. There ain't no in-between. I know many of you say, well, I'm a charity. I feed the hungry. That's a good thing. I put up a shelter for them to live in. That's a wonderful thing. But you still on the ship going to hell. And all of those of you who are commentating on social media, talking about the problems, and you're really being paid to talk. And many of you are talking on one side, and many of you are talking on the other side. Many of you are making jokes, making entertaining so people can come back and listen to your commentary over and over and over again while the problems continue to exist. On the one hand, people might be thinking that you're trying to motivate other folks to go out there and engage themselves. But you see the problem. Why don't you engage yourself? Now you can see why you yourselves are part of the problems. What I'm basically saying, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who can recognize that there's pain and there's suffering out here, it's not of God. And God, as long as it continues to exist, then God is being misrepresented. There is nothing more important than thy will being done on earth as it is in heaven. Now, I know sometimes you can think I'm not anything. That's all right with me. I've lived a long time by a blessing that has something to do with another power. And it wasn't the power that was trying to tell me that to get a job and just go ahead on and take care and look after myself. I know that something else is required of every last one of us. And to do what you're calling me to do is to play a part right on down to the devil. I got him. I don't have to worry about him anymore. Now he's a part of the system. I used to go to jail all the time standing up. The last time I came out of jail was, what was that? 9/11. I was in Stillwater prison. My wife came to pick me up that day. And right before that happened, some of the inmates called me back and said, look what's happening on the TV. The planes are going into the World Trade Center. It hurt my heart because I knew that if people could have listened to me before I went to prison, there could have been a different outcome. That stuff didn't have to happen. But we are being led by a power that's taking us straight to hell, and everybody in this country, not only that, everybody in this world is participating. Giving some soup lines and some shelter might be looking good, but it ain't stopping nothing. God is effective. God don't play this charity stuff. God is love. God makes changes, make it all right. How do you think you feel when for those of you who don't have snow blowers, and the weather comes and snow you in, and you trying to get out, you don't even have a shovel to dig yourself out? How do you think you feel? There are other people who do, but you don't. What do you think when people are traveling on the highways and it's snowing and they have big pile of 40 and 50, 75 or more cars come together causing all this pain and suffering, but people felt they had to be out on the streets at these times? How do you think that should be happening in a day and a time like this when the technology has been given to all of these societies? And we can prepare ourselves and fix the situations, but our lives is not about stuff like that. Our lives are not about finding cures to sicknesses and diseases that takes people's lives every day. Our lives are about making money another day to make another dollar so I can repeat what I did today or yesterday. And the whole world continues to go to hell. I'm standing here late this night, ladies and gentlemen. Every night I get up early. Can't sleep because I'm thinking about all of us. See, why do I think about all of us? Because the pain that you go through is the same pain I go through. It might be a little bit different than what you might see, but the reality of it is the same. I recognize what it's like when you want to go to college and you don't have the resources to get there. I recognize when you want to live in your own dwellings and you don't have the resources to live there. I recognize what it's like when you walk in the streets and you're scared that somebody's going to rob you because they are not satisfied. I recognize the hell that we're going through, and I'm an old man, and I've been watching this thing all my life, and I'm tired of it. I'm tired of people lying. I'm tired of you liars. You don't know a thing about love, and you swear you got it going on. Yeah, you do have it on. You're going straight to hell, but I'm not saying when you die, you going to some hell. God ain't showed me nothing about that. And I'm not concerned about that. I'm concerned about living here on earth today. That's all I'm concerned about. That afterlife is out of my hand. I have no jurisdiction there. I have no information there. But I have some insight right here. And I shared it with you, ladies and gentlemen. There's no shame in my game. Yep. I don't have the resources by choice to do the things that needs to be done. But I'm not accepting that as the only way that it is and can be done. I'm glorifying the power that you can't see, asking you to reflect on it, and hopefully you will. It can allow it to live within thee and become a physical manifestation of that we seek. Until later, this is Eddie Marcus saying thank you, and have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the morning and a brand new day tomorrow.